probably asking yourself, Wyoming traveler, where are you? Well, I'm not in Wyoming, even though this in many ways looks like Wyoming. I'm out here in the Texas Panhandle. And again, you might ask the question, why are you here at the Texas Panhandle? I'm located at the site of the First and Second Battle of Adobe Walls. Now, another question that may pop up is, why is it called Adobe Walls? There's no walls here. Well, once again, you're right. The forces of man and nature have destroyed what was once the walls of the fort and the community of Adobe Walls.
There goes your hat.
It's pretty windy here, but then this is the plains. And if there's one thing about the plains, the wind blows. The story starts in 1843 when the company went and St. Moraine. And check out the video about them. Decided to construct a trading post between the Canadian River, located where those trees are to the south, and the Cimarron cutoff of the Santa Fe Trail. For 3 years, they tried to maintain a wooden trading post, but it was constantly being attacked by the various tribes in the area. To help protect their interest, the Bents hired a group of Mexican adobe workers, and they built a adobe fort with walls about 9 feet high and 2 feet thick. Pretty sizable structure, and it did protect their merchandise. Unfortunately, it didn't protect all their livestock. And in 1846, they decided the loss of livestock and everything just did not warrant the business here. And so the Bent brothers abandoned the fort, blew it up, and left it to nature. And that's the way it stayed until history changed that, and this became the site of 2 Indian battles. The year is 1864, and General Grant is demanding more soldiers for the Union armies in Virginia and Georgia. That means few troopers are available to protect the settlements and commerce routes in New Mexico from the hostile Plains tribes. To end the raids and demonstrate that the United States could protect its citizens, Brigadier General James Carleton, commander of the military district of New Mexico, sent a force under Colonel Kit Carson, yes, the famous Kit Carson, explorer, Indian fighter, and mountain man, to attack Comanche and Kiowa tribes in northwest Texas. Carson departed Fort Bascom, New Mexico in early November with 260 cavalrymen, 75 infantrymen, 72 Ute and Hickory Apache scouts, 27 wagons, and 2 mountain howitzers. He planned to march down the Canadian River, where a band of Comanche and Kiowa were rumored to be wintering. On the evening of November 24th, Carson learned that several Kiowa and Comanche camps were nearby. He split his troops, leaving the wagon train and infantry in camp. The scouts would lead the artillery and mounted troops on a night march towards the Canadian River. Following a march of about 10 miles, Carson called a halt until daylight. The troops were at the river when they marched out early the next morning. Deploying one company of cavalry on the north side of the river, Carson continued with the remainder of his force on the south side. Kiowa braves on the opposite side of the river were alerted to the troop movement. In a short time, shots rang out and soon rapidly multiplied. Carson continued his march down the Canadian River, where he attacked the 176 lodges of Chief Do Ha San's winter camp. The initial clash between the troops and the Kiowas was fierce but brief. The scouts advanced, whooping and keeping up a constant yell to stampede the ponies. The soldiers followed. The Kiowa warriors held the soldiers off long enough for the women and children, along with some captives, to escape into the hills north of the camp and to alert the Comanches villages further down the river. With wives and children safely hidden, Kiowa warriors moved across the river towards Adobe walls, 4 miles from their camp, with the cavalry in pursuit. Carson reached the ridge at Adobe walls and halted. He set up a medical station inside the walls of the old trading post. From this vantage point, Carson could see numerous villages in the area and a large number of warriors gathering to do battle with him, a force estimated between 1,200 and 1,400 warriors. Carson dismounted the cavalry and deployed them around the 2 howitzers, while the scouts skirmished with the Comanche and Kiowa warriors. The first shells from the howitzers caused the Comanches and Kiowa to retire from the battlefield. They soon returned, however, in even greater number to renew the attack. Fierce fighting developed as the warriors repeatedly attacked Carson's position. It was only with effective use of supporting fire from the 2 howitzers that prevented the soldiers from being overrun. By mid-afternoon and 7 hours of fighting later, Carson decided to retreat. He was low on both rifle and howitzer ammunition and had 25 wounded men. He was also concerned with the 75 men guarding the vital supply train. He therefore ordered the command to move out and retreat back to the Kiowa village. The Kiowa knew that if the troops reached the village first, it would be destroyed, leaving them without shelter and supplies for the winter. They attacked with a determination. The steady and constant fire of the troopers and support of the howitzers caused the attacking warriors to retire on every occasion. The Kiowa, in a final attempt to block the retreat, set fire to the grass and brush near the river. The soldiers set backfires and retreated to the ridges above, where again the howitzers held off the warriors. Kiowa then abandoned the attack and moved to their camp. Using the embankment for protection, the soldiers commenced firing into the Kiowa, who were attempting to salvage their belongings. After another firefight, and again with the aid of the howitzers, the soldiers drove the Kiowa from their camp. Carson ordered half the troops to destroy the lodges and property, while the remaining soldiers provided protection. The troopers continued their retreat to the safety of the intact supply train. Carson rested his force the following day, while being observed from a safe distance by the Comanche and Kiowa warriors. On the morning of the 27th, Carson ordered his command to saddle up and embark back to Fort Bascom, where he reported his victory over the hostile Plains tribes. The campaign cost the United States Army 6 dead and 25 wounded. Comanche and Kiowa losses were perhaps 60 killed and wounded. Both sides claimed victory. To the Kiowa, this was known as the time they repelled Kit Carson. Most authorities believe that Carson's decision to retreat was wise. He was outnumbered, and only his clever use of backfires and howitzers prevented his force from being overrun and killed, as Custer was 12 years later. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate your support of my channel. Please take some time to like, comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so.